This content is brought to you by the workshop experience where insight meets implementation. Today's conversation is only the beginning. It's drawn from a larger workshop inside our private leadership community. Each workshop culminates in a ready-to-deploy digital toolset, interactive dashboards, forecasting models, workflow automations, stakeholder maps, diagnostics, sales assets, project management frameworks, mini CRMs, an ever-expanding arsenal designed for immediate, real-world impact. These tools are released under our sister brand, Ascend Intelligence, Beyond Business Intelligence. Built directly on Google Cloud Platform and Google Workspace, Ascend Intelligence delivers enterprise-grade reliability, security, and AI-powered analytics, giving you a strategic edge from day one. If today's topic resonates with you, know that the full workshop is already on our shelf or slated for release, and we can open it to you on request. Reach out and claim the Ascend Intelligence tool that turns today's ideas into tomorrow's results.
Magus, a whisper through the void. Catalyst, igniting change, one spark at a time. Media, shaping worlds, telling truths. And now the story begins.
Saturn, Part 1. The Approach. I drift through the void on a whisper of stardust, the silence around me so deep it echoes. Then I see it, Saturn, colossal and unblinking, its pale rings slicing the darkness like a blade of forgotten steel. A hush falls as I draw near, no triumphant fanfare, only the slow, inexorable breath of an ancient power. In that moment I understand, this giant has not come to dazzle me with color or light, but to test me, to teach me, to forge me in its cold crucible. I step onto a shard of ice that glints like broken glass in the dim glow. Beneath my feet, the weight of my own uncertainty presses down as heavily as Saturn's gravity. It is here that I first feel the planet's stern insistence on discipline. There is no place for half measures or excuses. Each breath I take feels like a vow. I will move forward. I will keep my promise to myself. Saturn does not reward flair, it demands consistency. I feel my heart tighten, resolve knitting itself into a spine of steel. The rings circle above me, precise and unyielding, lines drawn in the void to show me where I end and everything else begins. Here, in the hush of Saturn's dominion, I discover boundaries aren't restrictive walls, but the scaffolding of my own freedom. I learn that saying no to distractions, to cheap thrills, even to kind-hearted diversions, is an act of self-preservation. Under these rings I build a fortress of clarity, a place where my own potential can grow without the weeds of regret strangling its roots. Time here is not measured in heartbeats, but in the slow turn of worlds. I watch a spiral of dust and stone drift past, and centuries feel like moments. Saturn teaches patience, not as a passive waiting, but as a fierce cultivation of endurance. I remember the seeds I've sown in past seasons. Projects abandoned, relationships neglected, promises of change I never kept. Each one surfaces now, ghostly reminders that true growth cannot be rushed. I embrace the long arc, the gradual arc of effort and reward, and I plant my feet on this frozen ground, ready to see what takes root when I finally commit. A silence that teaches. Behind me, distant storms churn in swirling bands, the planet's breath manifesting in winds that howl with purpose. And in that howl, I hear the rumble of consequences. Nothing escapes this world unmarked. Every action I have taken, every lie I have whispered to myself, rattles through the void and returns like an echo with edges sharpened by time. I face them now. Regrets, half-truths, unspoken apologies. Saturn does not punish, it only reflects. I choose to meet that reflection squarely, to collect the shards of my mistakes and craft from them a mosaic of integrity. A sudden tremor vibrates through the ice beneath me, and I realize I am not alone in my reckoning. Saturn summons my fears as surely as it wields its storms. Figures of smoke drift into being, each one bearing a face I've known well. The fear of failure that keeps me locked behind a door. The fear of judgment that silences my voice. The fear of uncertainty that numbs my ambition. They dance at the edge of my vision, and I feel the old urge to flee. But Saturn's voice, low and unwavering, whispers, "Stand firm, let fear teach you." I turn to face each phantom, feeling their cold breath, and I nod. I will not shrink from the unknown. As I stand amidst the shifting apparitions, the planet's hum shifts, resonating with a deeper call: responsibility. The air grows heavy, as if each molecule carries the weight of promises made long ago. I sense all the small pledges I have shrugged off. The breakfast I promised to share, the apology I postponed, the goals I set before the dusk of inspiration faded. Under Saturn's gaze, I accept that life is not a spectator sport. I pick up each dropped promise like a fallen coin, and I return it to my pocket, a small yet potent reminder that my actions shape the world around me. In the dim hush that follows, a subtle transformation unfolds. The planet's stark discipline softens into a quiet invitation: mastery. I feel the years I've spent stumbling through half-learned trades, the nights I've toiled at curves of code or stanzas of verse, the mornings I've risen to rehearse a new skill. All those hours, once so lonely and endless, now align like notes in a slow, minor-key sonata. Saturn's rings pulse with a hidden rhythm, acknowledging the devotion that only time can grant. I taste the promise of wisdom earned through struggle, not the gleam of instant acclaim, but the deep satisfaction of knowing I have been shaped by the slow grind of experience. And yet, even here, amid the planet's austere architecture, I glimpse the swirl of chaos beyond. Nebulae flare like distant memories, galaxies spiral in vivid abandon, comets scream past in wild arcs. Saturn does not deny their existence. It stands guard at the threshold, offering structure to the dance of cosmic unpredictability. In its quiet radiance, I learn that discipline and freedom are not enemies but partners. The planet's sturdy bones hold up the soaring wings of possibility. Under that grand arch, I see my own life in a new light, ruled by purpose, energized by wonder. I linger on the ice long after I thought I could bear the cold, drinking in the planet's pale glow. Each breath feels deeper now, as if I've been learning to inhale the universe. In this silent moment, the dichotomy of order and chaos dissolves. I understand that to live fully in the tumult of existence, I must welcome both discipline and abandon, structure and spontaneity, resolve and flow. Saturn has shown me the architecture. Now it is up to me to build the melody. At last, a gentle murmur signals my time here is drawing to a close. I step back from the rings, letting the planet's gravity release its hold. As I drift away, I carry with me the weight of its lessons: the unyielding demand for consistency, the protective clarity of boundaries, the slow pulse of time, the mirror of consequence, the forge of fear, the summons of responsibility, and the promise of mastery. Each attribute is a star in its own right, and together they form a constellation of strength I can navigate by. Behind me, Saturn recedes into the gloom, its rings a faint whisper on the edge of sight. But I know the planet's energy will never truly leave me. Its minor key hum will echo in my bones, a constant companion urging me to stand taller, to breathe deeper, to live with purpose. In the vast, chaotic symphony of the cosmos, I have found my conductor, and I am ready to raise my voice. The descent. There's a tether now between us, invisible but unbreakable, forged in the silence of hard-won understanding. The planet awaits, suspended in its eternal turn, its rings a cold halo, its presence undiminished, as solemn and majestic as ever. No sound, no signal, and yet everything in me knows it sees. It watches, and it remembers. I descend once more, my path familiar, but not the same. This is not a return, it is a progression. Saturn is not a place to visit. It is a state of reckoning, a terrain of truth where illusions dissolve like frost in sunlight. As I near its surface, I feel the change inside me, a deeper quiet, a sharper awareness. There is no fear, only the readiness to see what must be seen. The air is thin and still, the kind of stillness that carries meaning. I walk the frozen plain, each step releasing small puffs of crystal into the black air. The rings above churn slowly, ancient and deliberate. Their motion is not for spectacle, it is function, alignment, force. Saturn does not decorate, it defines. Every turn, every storm, every particle obeys its rhythm. I realize then, this is what it means to live with structure, not to be caged, but to be held, directed, refined. Discipline rises again in my chest, not as an imposition, but as a promise. I feel my thoughts line up like sentinels, my breath anchor itself in ritual. Nothing here yields to whim. Under Saturn's watch, you do not wait for inspiration to strike. You move, you act, you build, even in the absence of praise. especially in the absence of praise. The planet does not care if I am tired or uncertain. It cares only that I rise. It speaks in action, not encouragement. And yet, despite the gravity, there is no cruelty. Saturn does not strike. It holds. It braces the structure so the winds do not blow me away. In that firm embrace, I remember the beauty of boundaries, the clarity of knowing where I begin and where the world ends. I can feel the subtle way its energy reinforces the edges of my being, not to confine me, but to protect what is sacred. In a universe of static and signals, Saturn teaches me to tune the noise out. It sharpens the perimeter of self until I no longer leak energy through every open door. Stillness deepens as I cross into the shadow of the great planet. The light shifts. Everything here moves more slowly, like thick oil poured into dark water. Time stretches. I no longer know how long I've been walking, and it no longer matters. I realize how often I've lived in fear of the clock, rushing to meet goals, shaming myself for not being further ahead. But in Saturn's realm, speed is irrelevant. It offers no applause for urgency, only for endurance. Time is not a whip. It is a chisel. Every minute under Saturn's eye is a chance to sculpt something lasting. The planet does not celebrate beginnings or endings. It honors the middle, the long tension between intention and result. It teaches me to stay. A reckoning without fire. There is something healing in that staying, in the slow commitment to something bigger than desire. Saturn holds up a mirror, and in it I see the shape of every choice I've made. Some were careless, others courageous. All of them return now, not to haunt me, but to inform me. I feel the quiet justice of consequence. Not punishment, reflection. A soft reckoning that says, this is what you planted, this is what has grown. The planet does not flinch, it does not bargain, and because of that I trust it. I trust myself within it. I keep walking. Ice crackles underfoot, then falls silent. In the distance, a ripple forms in the darkness. Shapes gather, familiar yet cloaked. My fears, they come softly now, not snarling but whispering. Each one bears the name I have given it: failure, rejection, insignificance, loss. They do not lunge. They approach like memory. I do not run. Saturn has taught me better. I let them come. They circle. They study me. And then something strange happens. I thank them. Not sarcastically, not reluctantly. Truly. Because every one of these shadows has shaped me. Each one has forced a choice, to shrink or to grow. And here I am, still standing. The fears begin to dissolve, not because I defeated them, but because I stopped feeding them. I stopped believing they were bigger than me. Saturn watches with that same unblinking gaze, not proud, not cold, just real. Its energy does not celebrate conquest. It honors honesty. I have been honest. Beyond the icy ridge, the storm wall rises like a living cathedral. Winds spiral upward in columns of lightless force. This is where I must pass now through the storm of responsibility. It is not a punishment. It is a crown. I step into the wind, and it nearly lifts me off the ground. Every unfinished task, every neglected truth, every moment I said, not now, they're here. They circle me like debts coming due. I let them weigh me down, anchor me to the path. No more hiding. I speak aloud what I owe, to myself, to others, to the dream that brought me here. The words come slowly, pulled from deep caverns in my soul, but they come. I feel them settle into my spine. I am becoming someone others can count on, someone I can count on. This is not about glory. This is about steadiness. Real leadership, Saturn whispers, begins in the quiet act of showing up. I emerge from the storm not clean but carved. The path narrows now. There is no more wandering, only ascent. High above, I see the mountain of mastery, its peak veiled in frost and silence. I climb, slowly, deliberately. Every skill I have practiced in the dark, every lesson I have failed and relearned strengthens my grip. This is the long path of refinement. Not performance, not perfection, just honest, persistent effort. It is a holy rhythm. I lose all sense of performance. There is no audience, no finish line, just the next hold, the next breath, the next attempt. The climb is not punishment, it is prayer. With each step I lay down the fantasy of ease and take up the mantle of craft. I no longer need to be seen, I need to be strong. I no longer seek to impress, I seek to endure. The difference is everything. Saturn does not bless gifts, it blesses those who earn them. At last I reach the summit. There is no gate, no voice, no beam of celestial light, just a space. Wide, still, clear. And I know I have changed. I am no longer trying to prove anything. I am here because I chose to be. I stayed. I learned. I grew. And in doing so, I became someone I recognize. The planet turns beneath me, unhurried and unchanged. Its rings spin on, elegant and exact. But now I understand, Saturn was never meant to change. I was. From this height, I can see the full chaos of the cosmos, nebulae twisting like wild dancers, stars collapsing and being born, meteor trails blazing across the void. It is beautiful. It is wild, and now, finally, I am ready to live in it, because Saturn has given me the tools. I descend the mountain and return to my life. The winds of Earth feel different now, softer, yet charged with opportunity. I see people hurrying, aching, chasing. I see others hesitating, frozen by doubt. And in both I see myself, or rather the self I once was. I do not judge them. I nod. I walk among them, not as a prophet, but as a peer. But inside I carry the resonance of rings. The hum of a planet that taught me how to stand. Saturn remains, far above, cold, and magnificent. It does not need my worship. It needs only that I remember, and I do. Every time I choose discipline over impulse, every time I set a boundary, every time I honor my time, every time I take responsibility, every time I face a fear, every time I climb again, quietly, persistently, toward mastery. The stay. I remain here, suspended in the void beneath the quiet gaze of Saturn. No fanfare, no sudden epiphanies, only the slow weight of its presence pressing down on me like the dark sea of the cosmos itself. The silence is not empty. It is full of time, of consequence, of lessons unspoken yet omnipresent. To live under Saturn is not to be coddled by grace. It is to be shaped by the cold, patient hands of discipline, by the subtle but unrelenting force of structure. I stand beneath the weight of this knowledge and understand this is not a place for the fragile. The soft have no place here. In Saturn's shadow, you learn quickly that to live is to endure. Not for moments of glory or fleeting joy, but for the long, grinding moments that stretch across lifetimes. There is no applause in Saturn's domain, no crown of triumph. There is only the quiet march forward, one step after another, with no promises, no guarantees. The ice beneath my feet cracks with a sudden tremor. I do not look up. I do not flinch. This is the nature of Saturn, this unyielding stillness that is both a test and a sanctuary. It does not move in rushes. It does not seek to impress. It simply is. And I, too, must simply be. Each moment here pulls me further into the cold heart of Saturn's truth. The discipline it demands is not loud. It does not shout orders. It whispers them to you in the silence, in the pressure of every action you take. Each breath I draw is a decision. Each choice I make reverberates through the frozen air, carrying with it the weight of consequence. There is no small action here. There is no idle moment. Saturn demands everything, but it demands it without fanfare. It demands it simply because that is the only way to truly endure. I learn the weight of time here. Time is no longer a fleeting thing that slips through my fingers. Time is Saturn's gift and curse. It moves slow, thick, heavy, like the turn of an ancient wheel. It does not reward the frantic. It does not care for your urgency. It only cares for what you build with it. And so I work, not quickly, but steadily, slowly, methodically, as if the very passage of time is a test of my patience, of my willingness to continue despite the absence of visible results. Saturn's time is not like any other. It stretches endlessly, almost cruelly, forcing you to make peace with the slow pace of growth. And still the rings turn above, indifferent, slow. They are not there to guide me. They are not there to offer reassurance. They are there to remind me that even in the darkest, coldest places, there is structure. There is order. These rings are not decorative. They are not born of whim. They are the enduring framework that holds the chaos of the cosmos in place. The truth of Saturn is that order does not come easily. It must be forged constantly through every moment. It is a slow, deliberate thing. The shape of what holds. The silence stretches on, and with it my thoughts begin to turn inward. I no longer think of the world I left behind, of the distractions I once clung to for comfort. I think only of the weight of my own choices. Saturn has given me nothing to lean on, nothing to hide behind. There is only my own sense of integrity, the quiet hum of my actions, the shadow of responsibility that hangs over me, constant, unyielding. I do not flee from it. I accept it. To live here, under the vast, unblinking gaze of Saturn, is to accept the truth of every moment. There is no hiding in Saturn's domain. Nothing is forgiven. Nothing is forgotten. Every decision I make is weighed against its long, silent measure. But it does not punish. It simply reveals. It shows me who I am when no one is watching. It shows me who I am when there is nothing left but to face the truth of myself. And I begin to understand this is the real work. This is the task Saturn has set before me, not to become someone I can show to others, but to become someone I can stand with in the silence. To build something inside me that is unshakable, that does not need external validation, that does not need approval. I climb, not in search of a goal, but because this is the way Saturn moves. It does not rush, it does not seek, it simply is. And I too must learn to move like that. Slowly, deliberately, without the need for recognition, without the need for applause. Just the quiet, unrelenting work of becoming. I think of the fears that once ruled me. I think of the doubts that crept in when I thought I could not continue. But Saturn has shown me something different now. It has shown me the power of fear, not as something to flee from, but as something to embrace, to use. Fear is not a wall. Fear is the wind that pushes you forward. Fear is the reminder that you are still alive. And in Saturn's silence, I learn that fear does not stop you. It teaches you. And so I continue. Through the cold, through the darkness, through the vast emptiness of the cosmos. I continue not because there is a reward waiting at the end, but because the work itself is the reward. The act of moving forward step by slow step is the transformation. Not the end, but the way. The storms of Saturn do not rage, they whisper. The winds do not howl, they breathe. And in that breath, I find the rhythm of my own heart, the quiet, measured beat of persistence. There is no triumph here, no final victory. There is only the weight of having stayed, the weight of having endured. And that, in the end, is enough. I look up, the rings of Saturn spinning slowly above me, distant and untouchable. And I understand. This is the glory of Saturn, not in its grand gestures, but in its refusal to move for you. It asks only that you endure. And in that endurance, you become something not many can understand. But in the silence of the cosmos, you know. You know that you've become something unshakable.
Magus, a whisper through the void. Catalyst, igniting change, one spark at a time. Media, shaping worlds, telling truths. And now the story begins.